Congratulations, you have reached the point in which you have created a brand that will invoke a positive emotion. And in addition to that, you have figured out what colors to use from a psychological perspective and a design perspective. Now you can take all that you have learned to ensure that you have the highest conversion rate. And in video number 8 and in video number 9, we are going to focus on actually creating it, making it actually happen. And we're going to focus on, in video number 8, custom logo creation. So I'm going to show you how to go about taking the information that you have collected and gathered and take that information and put it into action and make an awesome logo. All right, let's get started. So there are two different ways that you can go about doing this. First of all, you can find a pre-made logo and then get somebody to customize it to your liking, or you can also customize it yourself. And that's the fastest way to get a logo up and running. Now, you can also get somebody to custom design your logo for you from scratch. Now, that does take some time. It can take anywhere from a couple days to a couple weeks, depending on how fast you communicate with your designer. So that's what I want to do, is show you two different routes that you can take. Depending on which one you want to do, you can go whichever route that you choose. So first things first, there is a specific site called graphicriver.net. That's graphicriver.net, as you can see up here. When you go to the site and you go to logos and you click on logos, most of these logos are run about $29 each. Now, if you go through them, you'll see that they range from different types of quality, different types of styles of logos. So what I would normally do is I would click the logos here and I would type a specific keyword related to your company. So let's say, for example, we'll type in security. And we can actually see the different logos. And oftentimes what they'll do is they'll give you examples of what the logos look like that are added onto headers and letterheads and things like that, and different variations of the logo itself. So if you didn't like the logo color, for example, but you liked the logo, you could always change the logo color as well. So just keep that in mind. Now, in order to edit these files, you will need to have Adobe Illustrator. And what you can do is you have two choices in this matter. You can either find somebody to edit these logos for you, or you can do it yourself. If you want to do it yourself, this is how you go about doing it. You will need to have a software program called Adobe Illustrator, which will allow you to edit the logo. Now, if you go to adobe.com/products/illustrator, or you do a Google search for that particular software, you will see this page. And up at the top, it'll say download, and you can just go ahead and download this to your computer. And then, of course, there is a 30-day trial version, so you can use that for yourself. And then, of course, if you want to renew that 30-day trial, then, of course, you can pay Adobe, which nowadays they have something called Creative Cloud Experience, which means you don't have to dish out $500 to $1,000 up front. You can easily just pay for the app every single month. And as you can see here, to use the app or license the app, it is about $20 per month for Illustrator. And if you're wondering, well, okay, so let's say I do decide to download and buy one of these pre-made logos, and I don't want to do it myself. If that is the case, then you'll need to go to Fiverr.com, that's Fiverr.com, and you'll need to type in Adobe Illustrator. and then find somebody who knows how to use this tool and simply go through here. What I do is go through, look for high rating, and then I look for somebody who can do it within 3 days or 24 hours because that's just the fast route. And then you would simply pay $5 to a person to edit an image or a logo. And just tell them exactly what you want them to edit. That's probably the cheapest route to go if you want to have a pre-made logo. And that's $29 plus $5 plus, I believe it is a 50-cent processing fee. So roughly about $35. Now, if you want somebody to make a custom logo for you, that's a different story. Now, you could go on Fiverr.com, but I would say make sure that you do your due diligence because some people on Fiverr.com, what they'll do is you'll ask for a custom logo. And what will happen is they will actually find clip art that they don't really own, and they'll use that in your logo. Now, the problem with that is that because it is somebody else's image, you might get in trouble for maybe violating a license. So you want to make sure that you get somebody to develop it from scratch if you go down that route. Now, Fiverr.com, there are a lot of people who can design things from scratch. And let me show you a different way of looking and doing your due diligence to knowing if that person really designed that logo or not. So if we type in custom logo at the very top in the search box, you can look through here and typically you'll see the ones that have really high ratings. Now, some of these are using clip art and some of these are not. The way you know sometimes, and you really won't know unless you ask, you have to ask them. A lot of times if you take a look at the graphics themselves, you will be able to see a similarity in style. You see, graphic designers, true graphic artists, will have a style. So if you take a look here, we can see that this person's style is very, very similar. And then on some cases, you will notice that the person's drawing style is very different. Like the logo, one logo might look different, one logo might look totally different. If that's the case, most likely they are using clip art. Not always guaranteed, but that's a good way to check. Now, a site that you might want to take a look into, which is a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get people doing more custom work for you, is a site called peopleperhour.com. That's peopleperhour.com. If you go to the site and up in the search box, just like Fiverr, type in custom logo, you're going to be able to see that you'll get people to do custom logos from anywhere from $46 to about $150. So as you can see, getting a custom logo and a true custom logo developed from scratch is definitely going to cost you a lot more money, but it's from scratch. And it's something that probably nobody else owns. So if you get it from scratch, that's the bonus, is that it's not going to be a template that everybody has access to. It's going to be unique and it's going to be something that only you have, assuming that they have developed it from scratch. So what I would normally do is I would go through, take a look at the ratings, take a look at how much they actually sold. And generally speaking, I want to have the rating at least 95% or above. Ideally, 99% or above. So for example, this has 97%, this one has 99%, but they only have sold about 47. And then this one is 103, which is a little bit more. This one is 89, so I'm just going to skip over it. You have to be picky about this. You really do, because you only want the best when it comes to your logo. So up until this point, you have the colors, you have the emotions, and you have an idea of what you want. That's when you can begin to get your custom logo created. So if we go through here, we're looking through, go over here. And you can see this person has a very specific style. This style may be a little bit more professional. But what I would do is I would go down, I would read this, and then I would take a look at people's ratings. Now, to make sure that these ratings are truthful, you want to see if you can find a pattern, meaning if everybody's saying the same thing and they're saying positive things in different ways, in different wording, that's a good thing. So I kind of like this person's logos a little better because they look more professional and less cartoony. So you also need to know your audience. If your audience is very serious, very businesslike, then if you provide them with a logo that looks cheesy and cartoony, they may not look at your business with the best respect. So that's why having a good logo created is the best way to go. So now go through here. I would look at least 10. I would contact these sellers and ask some questions. Make sure that it is truly customized, because in different countries, custom means different things. So what I would ask is, I would say, is your custom logo created from scratch? Like, do you actually design it in Adobe Illustrator, or is this something like clip art? If it's clip art, then you don't want that. You want to make sure that you find a true graphic artist. That way, you know, in the future, if you want to develop different brands, you can, or edit that brand as well. So that's the great way to go about getting your customized logo created.